Today we are cooking one of the most beloved, if not the most, dishes in Spain. And it is tortilla de patatas. Let me make this clear from the beginning. Tortilla, when we're talking about tortilla, we're not talking about the Mexican tortilla, which is made of corn. In Spain, we call tortilla to anything mixed together with egg and cooked along with it. So once that's clear, we can continue. Okay, so as I was saying, tortilla is one of the most beloved dishes in Spain, and it's because you can eat it almost anywhere across the Spanish geography. And it's also due to the origin of this plate. It's not so well known where it was first cooked. It's really hard to track it. What we know a bit more precisely is the journey that this ingredient, the potato, made to the Spanish kitchens. So after Cristobal Colon discovered America at the end of the 15th century, a lot of new ingredients arrived to Europe. Things that you can really easily find nowadays in everybody's kitchen, like tomatoes, like cacao, like cafe, the potatoes themselves. They arrived after this discovery of America. But this little one here was not the most popular kid in the class, to be honest. It was mainly used to combat hunger for famines and also by those people with least resources. But this changed a couple of centuries later, during the mid-18th century more or less, that it was slowly being introduced into our dishes. Their use in tortillas is officially documented around the 19th century. Originally, tortillas were made with pork fat, with lard, or even with butter, so not even the olive oil was part of the original recipe. And the same happens with the most controversial ingredient, the onion. The onion was introduced at the end of the 20th century, more or less, so it's not part of the original recipe. This is, believe me guys, the most dividing topic in my country. Even more than football, even more than politics, no matter, con or sin cebolla, with or without onion, that's what it is all about. Me personally, I like to cook it with onion. I really like the flavor and the taste it adds to the whole. The other point of discussion, although not so controversial, is the egg, but not the ingredient itself. This is indispensable for the recipe. It's how much we cook it. There are people who love it rare, not so cooked, and there are people who love it really cooked, like a brick. Me personally, as you might have guessed, I'm closer to the first team. I don't like it that cooked, but I don't like it liquid either, you will see later. As you see here, this is a very basic recipe in terms of ingredients. We only have 4, or even 3 if we don't count the olive oil, which is kind of taken for granted in the Spanish kitchen. So, as with everything, the devil is in the detail, but don't worry guys, I'll give you a couple of tricks and tips that I've learned over the last few years, and you will be fine. Let's do this. First step we're gonna do is to put a small or medium pan on the heat with some olive oil. We're gonna set it at medium heat. A lot of people cook the onion together with the potato, but I personally prefer to cook it aside to caramelize it a bit. While the oil starts to get warm, we're gonna cut our onion. You can give it the cut you want, but to caramelize it, I think it is better to not cut it in small dices. Once ready, add it to the pan and add a pinch of salt. Remove it a little bit for 1 minute or so, and then reduce the heat to low. Do not forget to stir it from time to time to make sure we extract all the sugars from the onion. The onion will take some time, so in the meantime we can start preparing the potatoes. Put another pan with plenty of olive oil, like 2 or 3 fingers, enough to cover our potatoes. We will be able to filter the remaining oil and reuse it in the future. For example, in another tortilla, to fry some fries, to cook some vegetables in the oven, etc. Concerning the temperature, set it to medium-high. Now we can start peeling our potatoes. Make sure to remove any imperfection they might present. Once peeled, I like to wash them a bit to remove some dirt that might have passed from the skin and dry them with kitchen paper. Next step is to cut the potatoes. The direction of the cut here is again very personal. The best results I've got after cooking dozens of tortillas have been with half-moon cuts. This will allow the potato to layer a little bit together with the egg. But you could also try to cut in dices and share the results with me in the comments. Once cut, add the potatoes to the olive oil. We do not intend to fry the potatoes, but to confit them. While the potatoes are cooking, we will have some time to wash a little bit the tools we are not gonna use anymore, like our cutting table and the knives and peeler. After 10 or 15 minutes, I like to remove the potatoes so they are evenly cooked. Otherwise, only the ones in the bottom will get a golden crust. Don't worry if some potatoes are already soft and break a bit. That will actually make our tortilla texture much nicer once we mix everything. At this point, I also like to increase the temperature to toast some of the potatoes a bit more. By this time, check the onion, it will also probably be ready so we can take the pan out of the heat. Back to the potatoes, if you see they are ready, it is time to switch off the heater and put them in a filter with a bowl below so we can recover our olive oil. Leave this pan as we will use it later for the final cooking of our tortilla. As I said before, this olive oil can be perfectly reused. Just wait until it gets colder, then put it inside a jar and preserve it in a dry place for 1 month maximum. Leave the potatoes cool down a bit and let's go with the eggs. For this recipe I use around 4 medium eggs and, this is one of my tricks, 2 yolks. This will make the tortilla more juicy. The eggs must be at room temperature, so remind to take them out of the fridge when you start the recipe. Whisk both the whole eggs and yolks together, but not too energetically, we don't want too much air in them. Now, once the potatoes and the onion have cooled down a bit but they are still warm, mix everything together. The idea here is that the remaining heat cooks the eggs. We are not gonna whisk very energetically, we just want to mix all the ingredients. Don't worry if some potatoes break down, this will actually help to homogenize the mixture. Once done, let it rest covered with a plate for around 15 minutes so all the flavors and ingredients meet each other. In the meantime, prepare again the pan with some olive oil. You can actually use some remaining from the cooking of the potatoes. It is important that it is a non-sticky pan. This way you will be able to not use so much olive oil and the tortilla won't end up so fatty. Now let's cook the tortilla. Put all the mixture in the pan and start shaping your tortilla. I have set the heat level at low-medium, so the external layer is cooked while the inner part is still juicy and not so cooked. If you want it very raw inside, you could put the heat a bit higher, so the surface cooks faster, and on the contrary, put the heat lower if you want everything cooked evenly. It depends on your taste. In my case, I will wait around 2–2.5 minutes. Anyway, you can check very carefully if the surface is getting burnt or not, so keep an eye on it. Once it is golden or at least cooked, it is time for one of the most critical steps, to flip the tortilla, to turn it around. As a fun fact, this is actually an idiom in the Spanish language when you want to express that a situation has changed completely. My recommendation to do this is to use a flat plate bigger than the pan, otherwise some tortilla might be spilled. I also like to do it in the sink, so in case a bit is spilled, it does not land on the heat, making a total mess. Once finished, put the uncooked side of the tortilla back to the pan and the pan back to the heat. If you want a nice rounded tortilla, make sure to shape it on the edges. Wait for another couple of minutes and put your finished tortilla in a plate, and you are done. It is already ready to eat. Look at this beauty. Cooked on the surface, but still juicy in the inside. But not too raw. Just the perfect sweet spot. Now, let's try it. Yeah. This is definitely the point where we want to cook the egg. I'm pretty proud of this one. So guys, tortilla serves perfect as a tapa, or it's also a great ración, which is the term we use in Spain to that food which is shared in the middle of the table. It can also be a main dish even, or you can put it with bread and make it a great sandwich, so it's very versatile. Please try it and let me know how it went, how was the result, or if you have any doubt or any addition you want to make, just feel free. I'm pretty happy to answer you. Subscribe to the channel and give it a like, okay? See you in the next video.